Ladies and gentlemen from around the world, my name is Dr. Tofnar. Welcome back to the Brief Vapes channel, where in a briefer summary as possible, or do I just tell you why you should or shouldn't buy a particular piece of vaping gear. Let's start with the apologies. It's been a good 3, 4, maybe even 5 months since my last video. I think the last one I did was the A-Leader Funky mod. The reason why there hasn't been a video, firstly, is that you may have heard in, I can't remember which video it was, I was mentioning that my computer was broken. Well, it was on its way to being broken, and lo and behold, a few weeks later, it had broken. The motherboard had just completely conked out. It was about 5 years old, so it had just melted, basically. It doesn't help that all the vaping just sort of clouds up the room, and VG sticks to everything, and it's notoriously bad for systems that rely on fans to keep everything cool. So when I opened it up, it was just a word of warning. There was a sticky residue on everything. I obviously haven't learnt anything other than to open the window a bit more often, really. So there was that. So when I got, my hair's acting a bit weird. So when I look like some kind of imitation hipster, who am I fucking kidding? When I got a new PC, I realised that I hadn't noted down my login details for the account, which was hellish, because I could see the progress of the account. We passed 50 subscribers, which is fantastic, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. I'll throw out all the thanks and everything, which is duly owed to everybody who stayed and has newly subscribed, even though there's been no output from the channel for, like I said, for so many months. So eventually I got that sorted about a couple of weeks ago, and I'm back, and I thought we'd start off with something reasonably special and kind of positive, I suppose. This is the, let me just throw the focus out. I haven't lost any of the pizzazz, as you can tell. This is the TFV12, the Smok TFV12 Prince, which is their new sort of headline sub-ohm tank. They've been in a weird place ever since the TFV12 came out, because their tanks relied so heavily on big juice capacity to back up that massive vapour production that they were trying to push. Ever since the TPD sort of kicked in last year and reduced the size in Europe of tanks down to 2 millilitres, you can't really do that. You can't have these big massive coils like the TFV12 sitting in a tank sucking up 2 millilitres in 3 hits. It's not economical. It's not something that you can offer consumers and expect them to appreciate. Not in the same way, at least. So they've been looking for a solution for a while, and I think they've probably found a good middle ground with the TFV12 Prince. So what do you get with it? Well, what is it, essentially? It's a standard sub-ohm tank from Smok, and a couple of admittances before we get any further into this review. I have a notoriously difficult relationship with Smok, not directly. I mean, I've never spoken to even to a small representative from Smok, but as a consumer, I've had a weird relationship with them. Though some of the first tanks I got into as a vapor, I think the first sub-ohm tank I ever bought was the TFV4, which I hated. It almost put me off sub-ohm tanks for life, because the great thing about Smok is that if you're someone who loves to chase the vapor, Smok has you covered. But if you're a flavour chaser, like I've always been with vaping, since day one, that's all I've ever wanted. Ever since I had my first Joytech IO stick, I was chasing the flavour from then on. I thought, this isn't quite giving me what I want, so I went out and bought something else which I thought would give me more flavour. And one of those things happened to be the TFV4, and I just thought, this isn't really doing it for me. And ever since then, it's been exactly the same. Every single tank they've ever brought out, sub-ohm wise, has been the same. I thought, they're not necessarily bad tanks for flavour. They just produce exceptionally muted flavour when compared to people like Crown or UL, or even some of the Joytech stuff, and even the Vapresso stuff with the early. Was it the Target? I'm pretty sure it was the Target. Someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there, which I probably am. I've just always felt they've sort of lacked, or they've been falling behind in respect to flavour with tanks. And whilst I don't want to say that the TFV12 Prince, like a lot of reviewers seem to be saying that it's the best flavour tank on the market at the moment, sub-ohm wise, I don't think it's that good at all. It certainly is the best sub-ohm tank for flavour that Smok have ever made, and I think that's partly down to the chamfered down coils. They seem slightly, the width of them seems slightly smaller, and they're a little bit more stubby, but not by much. In the box you get 3. You get 3 coils as standard. Though, as always with Smok, you can always rely on them to give you a good variety of coils, and I think there's more variety than even the 3 they offer in the box. And to have 3 coils to begin with is fantastic, I think. I'm not going to bother well, I will name them just for the sake of the video. So you've got a 0.4 quadruple coil, a 0.15 septuple coil, and a 0.12 decouple coil. For my money, if you're looking for flavour, the sextuple coil or the sextuple coil is your best bet. That's the one I believe with the two. It's the one I have in here at the moment, which is it has the 2 chambers. Of course, you have the obligatory. I think it's 5, and of course the big one, which is also pretty good. But I would go with the 2 one, which is the sextuple, and it's nice. It's when paired with a good mod that will push the wattage out fairly quickly and heat the coils up fast. I think it's a really kind of just above middle of the road tank, sub-ohm tank. It's not one I'm going to keep, not by any stretch of the imagination. I already have plenty of other good sub-ohm tanks. I say plenty, I have 2. I have the Crown 3 and the Cleto 120, which I think offer better flavour, and that's all I really want from a sub-ohm tank, to be quite honest with you. But I can recommend it if you're looking for a sub-ohm tank that kicks the Vapor. But at the same time, if that's really what you're after, there are other tanks on the market that can offer the same. Not the Crown 3, but certainly the Cleto 120. Even the original Cleto can kick it pretty hard. The Revo from Aspire, again, we'll be reviewing that, and I won't talk too much about it now. But again, it's lacking in the flavour department, but it's fantastic at vapour production. This tank, whilst it is 2 millilitres, which I forgot to mention at the start of the video, I should have done so. It comes 2 millilitres as standard in Europe, but you can buy either a 5 millilitre glass piece, which is the same, because the standard European one has chamfered inwards glass, so it's moulded inwards. It's thick on the inside, so it makes it TPD compliant basically. But you can buy a straight 5mm one, or you can buy a rounded. You've seen the ones, they're like the fat boy for the Cleto basically, which is 8 millilitres, which is sort of what you need, because whilst this isn't as thirsty as something like the TFV12, it's still pretty thirsty for a sub-ohm tank, and I've had to refill this thing maybe. I think I did a count using the G-Class, not the G-Class, sorry, the CKS Icon, and it came to about, I think it was about 22 middling drags at about 80 watts, which might be okay for some people, but refilling it all the time just isn't efficient for me really. So that's the TFV12 Prince, guys. My opinions overall is that if you're a Smok loyalist, this is going to be the best tank that they've ever brought out for you. If you're anyone else and you're a bit like me, you've always been a bit sort of underwhelmed by Smok's products in general in the past, you're going to like it more, but it's still not going to be your everyday carry, and I think that's a big shame. But at the same time, it's good to see that they are making progress and they're not just ignoring all the flavour hunters out there like myself who really want a tank that just pushes flavour all the time. It's good to show that they are coming, and to be fair, after the TFV8, the TFV12 I thought was better for flavour, so they are making very slow and steady steps, which is fantastic. Objectively, I think this tank is great. I think if it's your first sub-ohm tank, I would recommend it highly. I think it's utterly fantastic. Easy to use, just requires no real assembly as such. Smok have always been fantastic when it comes to simple assembly. You know, it's only really Crown, Uwell who can rival them in that respect, I think, with the Crown 3. But that's going to be it, really, guys. That's the TFV12 Prince. Now let me get onto the thank yous, and they're going to be big thank yous because I've been away for 4 or 5 months, and the channel has only gained in subscribers since then. And you might be thinking, well, you've only got 80. I think we're at 85 now, and you might be thinking, well, it's only 85 subscribers. But seriously, I had a big video planned for 50 subscribers, and I think we're going to put that off now to the 100, and we're going to do something. I'll think of something. If you can think of any suggestions, leave them in the comments, and we'll sort something out. But to have 85 people who have stayed with you, or to have an increasing number of people who've subscribed to your channel and stayed there, even though you've had no output, it's really fantastic, especially the way YouTube is at the moment and how crowded it is, especially within the vaping industry. There's so many reviewers out there, so many fantastic reviewers who are worth watching more so than I do, I think. More so than I am, I think. Yeah, it's really, really, I don't want to say humbling, but I'm very thankful for it. So thank you very much, guys. There's going to be regular videos every 2 weeks. That is a promise. I promise you. I'm going to film the next one straight after this. That's going to be on the Aspire Revo kit, which is sitting right here, if I can find the Revo tank. If you want me to preempt myself, which I'm going to, regardless of whether you want me to or not, I'm slightly underwhelmed by the Revo tank. Underwhelmed is an understatement, actually. I think I'm going to lay into this thing because I think it's atrocious. The mod's great, but the tank is dreadful. So So if that's enough for you, skip the next video. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure to make this video for you all again. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the next one, hopefully. See you later. Oh, Jesus, that was the mod falling over. Good job, the G-Class is fairly sturdy.